be cautious. After we adjourned that meeting, and I thought to myself, wanted to go over this, what was really the good answer? And I asked myself, would you want to stand next to that cage when a car hits it? With a guarantee that it wouldn't explode? I certainly wouldn't. And I think for the small cost, for the safety it would provide, I think a bollard should be in front of them. And I just can't see that it's any different. That I would rather be safe than to be sorry.
Thank you.
Where these cages are located, that bollard would probably have to be closer to the curb than to the cage, because that bollard then is going to interfere with the opening, closing, dispensing of the product from the cage.
Correct.
But
I too saw the news, John, about the culverts up north where a 76-year-old man hit the gas instead of the brake, and he destroyed a cement table and chair. I objected, Clyde, to the raised sidewalk portion of the ordinance as, to me, not being adequate enough to stop a vehicle if it were to jump a curb. Whatever kind of protection you'd like to put in front, whether it be a guardrail or some other acceptable protection would be fine with me. Not necessarily doesn't have to be a bollard. A bollard is fine, guardrail is fine. Anything not to raise sidewalk. Can we, this is state code, the fire code that we're following here, can we alter from that legally?
We can enhance it.
We can. So if we took out the raised sidewalk or the raised curb, we're within our right to do that.
I think what my recommendation to the board would be is if you're gonna remove the raised sidewalk, we should, identify the areas, the things that we're most comfortable with, and that would be, if I'm hearing you, a system of bollards to, protect the tank area and say that's what it is, rather than just leaving out the sidewalk. It's I would recommend that the board wants the tank frame, that cabinet protected with bollards, and it shall be protected with bollards, and then specify, have the chief designate that to the chief to specify the distance from the cage that the bollards would be, and they'd have to construct those in a manner that wouldn't in turn create another traffic hazard where somebody would be hitting the bollards if they're moving parallel to it. But that'd be my recommendation, that you do that rather than just take out the raised sidewalk. Because I think really what I hear you saying is you want bollards in front of that thing to protect it.
I think I want both, raise the sidewalk and the bollard.
The sidewalks, the sidewalk's going to be raised because it's going to be above the parking structure, the parking surface. So the bollards would be the answer as far as that would satisfy my.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And bollards rather than guardrail, because the guardrail
Yeah.
fence flow through it and actually allows somebody to be pinned into that, versus a bollard, which with snow you can shovel around and people can move through it freely, but yeah, it gives you the protection.
Besides, they gotta have access to the cages.
Uh,
If you put a rail, it will be hard.
If this were to pass tonight with the bollards, would we have to then revisit the ordinance again?
Yes.
That we just
For the
passed a couple
B-
months ago?
Right, the B2 district, we'd have to come back and go through the public hearing process again in order to incorporate that same language into that district as well.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, Gene, I know it's a little cumbersome, but I feel strongly about this. I think it's for the protection of, at least gives another level of protection to the public, and I think we need to do that.
We should
Maybe-
table.
No, I guess my recommendation would be that the board remove this from the agenda.
Okay.
Allow staff to get the amendment for
Yeah.
the B2 area in the language you want to put in there, and then have that all come through at the same time.
Okay.
So
Second.
One moment first, Gene.
The fire chief did step back in, so I'm not sure if you could just put forth your recommendation to him so that he can understand, and I can take some notes on what you're recommending.
I think, Chief, what the board board is concerned about is we want to have bollards around the cage for the natural gas enclosure. So what we want to do is send it back, have a rework between the fire department and CD, come up with a standard for what the bollard installation needs to look like. It may involve raising a sidewalk where the bollards are so that nobody hits them, in addition to hitting the tank, and then providing that in addition with giving the authority for you to determine, what's going to be sufficient, because not all the enclosures are going to be the same installation. They're all going to be different. So if we bring that back within a month, I give you and Gene time to work up a new standard to incorporate, and then we'll amend the B2 district as well as this B4 district at the same time, to go back to Plan Commission, everybody get another kick at it.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Yeah, the motion is out there, but it would be to postpone.
Okay,
Okay.
Monica made the motion, I believe Steve's.
Aye. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, aye, and then Monica, thank you.
probably keep those bollards a little closer to the street side, parking side, so we allow the free access. I don't think they have to surround it, they're basically just in front of it to protect it.
Yeah, the corner.
Another barrier there to protect the people under businesses. The Plymouth incident wasn't alone, and this has been happening throughout Milwaukee. If you watch the news at night, it's almost an every other day occurrence that somebody plows into a restaurant, a storefront, something like that, and we're trying to prevent bigger accidents. Chief?
I'm Paul Gilbert, I'm Chief of Fire and Rescue. I'm at 8044 88th Avenue. If you drive around the village, we use bollards all the time to protect various aspects of sprinkler systems. So we'll just write that to reflect such that we can do that. But I would also recommend that we revise the fire ordinance and include this language within the fire ordinance that would give us the ability to enforce these things, since we're at all of these buildings twice a year.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Thank you.
We had a motion second, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carries. That moves us to item E, and that is receive the planning commission recommendation. We already did the E. Item F is to receive the planning commission recommendation and consider ordinance 08-24. Gene?
Mr. President, members of the board, item F is to receive the Plan Commission recommendation and consider ordinance 08-24 for several zoning map amendments to rezone 9 properties that were acquired in 2006 and 2007 by the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources or the Nature Conservancy of Wisconsin for open space preservation within the Carroll Beach, Chewauquee Prairie area, south of 90th Street, west of Lake Michigan, north 128th Street, and east of the Union Pacific Railway. The properties are proposed to be rezoned into the C3 Natural and Scientific Area Resource Conservancy District. On February 11, 2008, the Plan Commission adopted a resolution to initiate the rezoning of these properties. Again, these are properties that were acquired by the Wisconsin DNR or the Nature Conservancy, TNC, and they are proposed to be placed in the C3 Natural and Scientific Area Resource Conservancy District. As you know, the Community Assistance Planning Report number 88, entitled the Land Use Management Plan for the Chewauquee Prairie Carroll Beach area of the then town of Pleasant Prairie, dated February of 1985, recommended that ultimately all lands within the plan identified area as open space preservation should be acquired in the public's interest and placed into the C3 Natural and Scientific Area Resource Conservancy District in order to protect the natural resource base. The C3 district is intended to preserve and enhance existing natural features, including scenic, historic, and scientific areas, and associated plant and animal communities